ExxonMobil employees, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sam, and in just a second we'll be joined by Tyson Mavar, one of our ExxonMobil focused advisors. He's going to be covering some changes coming to healthcare options for ExxonMobil employees and retirees. Before he comes on, though, I'd like to just quickly remind you that we are not ExxonMobil here. We are not affiliated nor endorsed by ExxonMobil. We are a completely independent group of financial advisors, so please keep that in mind as you're listening along today. Next, while you're watching this presentation, I will be entering some links. I'll also be monitoring the chat. You can find the links above our heads. They're going to guide you to various website resources we have available for you on our homepage, one of which will be our calendar where you can book an appointment with one of our ExxonMobil focused advisors to get on their calendar, speak to them directly about your concerns, ask any questions you may have, or just get started or updated on your retirement planning. We'd be thrilled to help you with that. That is what we do here. And lastly, please consider giving us a follow on YouTube. We post a lot of content. We are also streaming this live right now on YouTube, so you can head over there if you've missed anything after this presentation has ended and watch the recap of this presentation directly on our YouTube channel. And that will be linked at the end of the presentation as well. Please consider giving us a follow on YouTube. We post a lot of content for ExxonMobil employees and retirees, and we really think you'd get value out of it if you considered giving us that follow. And with all of that out of the way, now we're going to jump into it with Tyson Mavar.
Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for attending our webinar series today. My name is Tyson Mavar. I'm a financial advisor and retirement specialist here with the Retirement Group. Today's webinar series, we're going to be covering health insurance as it pertains to choices that ExxonMobil employees and retirees have, and some of the changes that have happened in the last couple of years. Many of you probably know that at the Retirement Group we specialize in working with ExxonMobil employees and retirees on their retirement plans and decisions. We also manage retirement assets for retirees of ExxonMobil. And some of the biggest concerns that we hear from our clients and people that we talk to as they approach retirement from ExxonMobil, the biggest one being running out of money in retirement or outliving their retirement assets. But number two on the list, historically, what we found is that people are worried about the cost of health insurance and the decisions that they have to make with their health care going into retirement, how that's going to play into the possibility of running out of money in retirement. Now today we're going to talk about the expected costs over a lifetime for a retiree from ExxonMobil and how some of those expected costs have changed in the last couple of years. We're also going to talk about alternatives to the ExxonMobil benefits that you have both before age 65 as well as after age 65. And then we're going to talk about health insurance in general and also talk a little bit about Medicare, how Medicare works, and some of the decisions that most folks have when they leave ExxonMobil and have to change how their health insurance is administered. So it turns out that most people underestimate what the total cost of health is going to be in retirement, and as a result, pick the wrong day to retire. Now, what we found is that on average, people assume that health insurance is only going to cost about $41,000 throughout their retirement, which historically is on average about a $274,000 shortfall from the reality. So if you're an age 65 couple retiring from ExxonMobil, on average, we see that people will spend about $315,000 over their lifetime on healthcare. And this is a 5% increase on the expected cost of healthcare last year, which is certainly a higher rate of increase than normal inflation in the United States. Now, price of prescription drugs have gone up on average about 6% as government has ramped up pressure to lower cost of healthcare for retirees. And pharmaceutical and drug companies have actually increased the list price of around 750 common prescription drugs for retirees, which resulted in an increase of about 5.5% to begin this year, to begin 2025. Now, most people that I work with from ExxonMobil will take advantage of the existing subsidies for health insurance offered by ExxonMobil. Whether you are retiring before age 65 and can go on to the retiree plan, if you qualify, that's a pretty good option. They changed the administration of that this year in 2025. It used to be Aetna and Cigna that administered that. and now it's Blue Cross Blue Shield. So there's some options there for folks that retire before age 65. There could be a reason for you to consider going onto your spouse's plan. It's certainly worth shopping. If your spouse has a plan, your spouse continues to work. And of course, your spouse may or may not have their own retiree plan after they retire. But fortunately, at least as of today, that is an option to jump back onto the ExxonMobil retiree plan if you opt not to go onto it after you leave the company. Your new job, if you leave ExxonMobil, go work somewhere else, may have health insurance, and that could be cheaper than the retiree plan, so certainly worth taking a look at. And the state exchanges, especially for those that don't qualify for retiree medical from ExxonMobil when they leave, certainly are an option today. And we encourage people to spend a lot of time on this because it could be hundreds of dollars per month in savings, depending on your situation, maybe for several years, so worth spending some time on. Now, the Affordable Care Act, ACA, or what we consider the state marketplace, the state exchanges, could have some advantages for some folks. They have options for those with low income, especially if you're somebody who retires and has some non-qualified money wherein you can live off of assets that aren't going to go toward your taxable income for the year, money in the bank, money in a non-qualified individual brokerage account, a trust account, a corporate account, anything that's not in a retirement account might be helpful to draw down on early in retirement if it keeps your adjusted gross income low. It could also keep your health insurance premiums low if you're going onto the state exchange. They are guaranteed insurability, which means that they cannot deny you for pre-existing conditions. The premiums are pretty reasonable, and you can get some discounts if your income is low. There's a special enrollment period as well as normal enrollment period. So if you lose your insurance, for example, in the middle of the year, in between enrollment periods, you'll have an option to jump onto one of these plans for a period of time. And they also have a lot of options in terms of how much your premiums are, as well as your deductibles, gold, silver, bronze, and platinum, depending on your circumstances. That's going to help us to define what's going to be the best, most appropriate plan for you if you're going on to the state exchange. I'll zoom in here to show that different states have different costs, average costs of insurance. And the darker blue states are going to have higher costs, maybe even north of $1,000 a month, versus some of the lighter blue states that could be quite a bit less expensive. And this goes into total costs, and sometimes a reason that people will move out of the state that they worked in. Most of my clients are in Texas, but not all of them. Some of my clients, although it's a very tax-friendly state, no state income tax, some of my clients leave Texas in retirement for a number of different reasons. And cost of living could be a reason that you leave whatever state you retire in to go toward a state that might allow your money to last longer in retirement. I'll zoom in on this one too. This has to do with the cost over time of a silver plan. You can see in our 20s it's quite a bit cheaper at about $470 a month, compared to in our 60s it might be over $1,300 a month. And it's an exponential growth rate of these costs, of course, as we spend more money on healthcare as we get older. Now, some states have been affected more than others in terms of how much costs have been rising. Vermont had an increase of 27% on average cost of insurance through 2024. New York, 19%, Alaska, 15%, North Dakota, 14%, Michigan, 13%. These are some of the states that saw the highest increases last year. If you don't live in one of these states, hopefully the costs didn't go up quite as much, but we expect this to continue into the future, the rising cost of health insurance. It's something that we want to plan for in our retirement cash flow analysis. Now, not everybody is aware of or uses HSAs, but there is a very good tax advantage, and somebody who's younger or has more time until they get to retire can take even better advantage of these because they have what we call a triple tax advantage. Although there are ceilings or limits on how much you can contribute to an HSA on an annual basis, and you also have to participate in a high deductible health plan. Not all plans offer an HSA. But those that do, the triple tax advantage is in that you get a tax deduction on what you contribute to the plan up to the limit in the current year. If you invest those assets, which is possible, all of the earnings on those investments are tax deferred and potentially tax free as long as you use those dollars in the future for qualified healthcare expenses. And all withdrawals from these accounts are tax free. So it's like the benefit of a traditional IRA contribution as well as a Roth IRA contribution all rolled up into one, the triple tax advantage. And granted, there are ceilings on how much you could put in. We encourage most of our clients to max out on those because in reality, most people will spend those dollars in retirement on healthcare costs. And once you go on to Medicare, you can no longer contribute to those. So getting as much money as possible in that environment can really help out on the total costs of health insurance given the tax advantages of these plans. Our best advice, run a cash flow analysis, in part to understand what is health insurance going to cost and how can we plan for that. But in addition to that, figuring out ways that you could be more tax efficient while you're working at ExxonMobil and how you're saving in the Voya 401k plan. From not only a tax perspective, but also from an investment perspective, making sure that your asset allocation is appropriate for your time horizon, your risk tolerance, and you're really getting the most out of the 401k options from ExxonMobil. And whether or not you're still working at the company or already retired from ExxonMobil, there's a lot of great tax strategies that we encourage our clients to consider. Roth conversions are a big one. Net unrealized appreciation and how that pertains to your ExxonMobil stock is a very valuable one to many people that we work with at ExxonMobil. Estate planning is very helpful to have a cash flow analysis run because it helps us to figure out how we can reduce taxes to your estate if you don't spend all your money, and also some other issues related to wills and trusts and things that you probably want to consider maybe even before you retire from the company. This is something we'll do for you for free if you work for ExxonMobil. Whether or not you're a client of ours, we hope that you consider becoming a client, but this is a way that we can help you, and we encourage you to go through it. Even though it takes us some time, we're confident you're going to help us by recommending our services to some of your coworkers if you get value in going through this exercise. So this QR code here, it's going to allow you to get onto mine or one of my colleagues' calendars who understands the ExxonMobil benefits. We can run this for you. Usually it takes about 10 minutes to grab the information we need and about 30 minutes to an hour to review it, either in an in-person meeting or a web meeting, whatever's easiest and most appropriate for you. Now let's talk about Medicare. Medicare is health insurance for the elderly, which kicks in at age 65. It's administered by Social Security Administration. Most people that we work with qualify for this. And the benefits are lower premiums, better benefits in many cases, and guarantees 80% of your medical expenses once you get to age 65. Now, the enrollment period for this, if you're still working for ExxonMobil, you can keep your ExxonMobil active employee benefits until you retire if you work beyond age 65. But you're going to have to switch to Medicare the month after you leave the company, and it's going to create a lot of stress, in my experience, for a lot of people that have all these decisions to make at retirement. Now, the enrollment period is a 7-month period that starts 3 months prior to your 65th birthday and extends 3 months after your 65th birthday. And if you don't sign up for Medicare, it's possible, if you don't sign up for Medicare when you're supposed to, around your 65th birthday, it's possible they could penalize you on your Part B premiums after you leave the company and go on to Medicare eventually. So make sure that you're keeping track of that and are signing up in the eligibility period. Now I'm going to zoom into this. This is a pretty good, here we go. Pretty good slide related to the advantages and disadvantages of traditional Medicare, also known as Medicare Supplement or Medigap, as well as Medicare Advantage or Part C. Now, ExxonMobil made some changes, I want to say it was about 3 or 4 years ago, wherein they used to subsidize Medicare supplement plans for their retirees that were age 65 and over. But then they switched to do a Medicare Advantage plan, which they still subsidize, but this is your only option as a subsidy from ExxonMobil is to stay on the Medicare Advantage plan. So let's talk about how they differ, because we do see some people opt out of the Medicare Advantage plan subsidized by ExxonMobil to go for traditional Medicare for a number of different reasons. So traditional Medicare or Medicare Supplement, you keep your Medicare, traditional Medicare, you choose your own doctors. The premiums are higher, but there are no copays. Average cost typically $90 to $200 per month. So this is just for the Medicare supplement portion. You still have costs associated with Medicare Part B and D if you're going the traditional route. There's no referrals necessary to a specialist. Some routine services are not covered associated with vision and hearing specifically. But you are covered anywhere in the U.S., which is a big advantage for a lot of people. It is guaranteed renewable, and benefits do not change going forward. Now, let's talk about these Medicare Advantage plans. So you forfeit original Medicare. However, it's possible you can switch if you don't like your Medicare Advantage plan. You could go back to traditional Medicare in the future. You are restricted to in-network doctors, which is also a disadvantage for some people. There are lower premiums, but there are also copays that can increase total costs. Usually $0 to $100 per month, depending on the plan that you're on. It may be nothing if you are on the ExxonMobil plan, no premiums. Now, you may need a referral for specialists, which is another big disadvantage of the Advantage plans. But it may have some additional benefits with vision, hearing, maybe even fitness benefits. Emergency services only if you are outside your service area, also a disadvantage for some. And benefits can change over time, which is, I would say, a disadvantage for some people that go on to these plans. Now, although Part A has no monthly premium, there are still potential costs associated with Part A. So let's zoom in here. And these costs have gone up in 2025, as we can see here. Inpatient hospital deductible is now $1,676. The daily hospital coinsurance for days 61 through 90 is now $419. Daily hospital coinsurance for lifetime reserve days is $838 now. And skilled nursing facility daily coinsurance for days 21 through 100 is now up to over $209. We expect those costs to continue to go up, so certainly the more you use it, the more expensive that's going to be, but at least the monthly premium is nothing for Part A associated with your hospital stays. Now, there is a caveat to remember. This is a lot of people aren't aware of this who haven't ever been on Medicare, that the higher your income, the higher your Medicare premiums are going to be. This is both for Advantage plans and the traditional Medicare route. This is something called IRMA, Income-Related Medicare Adjustment Amount. We'll go through a table in a moment here, but effectively what they do is they look at your income 2 years ago. So here we are in 2025. To figure out your premiums throughout 2025, they're going to look at your tax return, your income, your modified adjusted gross income specifically, in 2023, 2 years ago. And that's going to affect your premiums for 2025. Next year in 2026, they're going to look back to 2024. And the higher your income was, the more your premiums are going to be throughout the year. Now, I will mention this. If you suffer a reduction to your income, which many people do in retirement, it's possible to appeal your Medicare premiums through a specific form that you submit to Social Security Administration so that they look to last year's total income amount as opposed to 2 years ago. It's also possible that could hurt you to fill out this form and submit it. Certainly the only reason you would submit that is if you thought it might help your premiums, but it could be a significant amount, especially if you were making a lot more money when you were working. Maybe you retired and reduced your income, or you switched from pulling from IRAs to pulling from non-qualified assets. Could be a way to reduce your Medicare premiums for an entire year. And here's that IRMA bracket chart, and we'll go through. Single filers are different than joint filers, of course. So the lowest bracket, you have to make $106,000 or less. Joint filers, $212,000 or less. If you go over these amounts, you can see your premiums start going up, especially as it pertains to Part B premiums. $185 if you're in the lowest bracket. It goes up quite a bit to $259 a month. Then $370, then $480, $591, and then the highest bracket, $628 per month. That would be for an entire year, and then would reevaluate the following year. We run into this when we're talking to our clients about Roth conversions, because although Roth conversions benefit a lot of people in the long run of their total taxes pay, you're going to have more taxes in the current year if you utilize this strategy. It's also possible that your IRMA bracket could increase, so we want to be careful about how much income we take each year, not only from a tax perspective, but also from a Medicare premium perspective. Now here's an example of, we have Bob and Jane. Bob's 65, Jane's 62. Their income was $225,000 for the year. And I'll just zoom in here to look at Bob's total health insurance. Remember, Bob's on Medicare now. He's 65. No cost for Part A Medicare insurance. Part B cost him $259 a month. His Medicare supplement came in at about $127 a month. And his Part D drug plan cost him $13.70 per month. So his total premiums were almost $400 a month, $399.70. Now Jane, who by the way could be on the ExxonMobil plan, even if she wasn't the employee. If Bob worked for ExxonMobil, Jane was his spouse, she can stay on the ExxonMobil retiree plan, even though Bob's on Medicare now. So if she was on the silver PPO plan, and this is not up to date, by the way. Don't take this with a grain of salt based on the current 2025 premiums for a retired employee or spouse. But in this example, Jane's premiums were $1,200 a month before qualifying for Medicare. So total premiums for the household, $1,600 per month. Once Jane goes on a Medicare, her premiums will be similar to Bob's, and now the total household cost might only be $800 a month, or cut in half as soon as both Jane and Bob are on Medicare. So typically helpful in terms of the total cost once both spouses are on Medicare. So in summary, the best way that we can help you as a retirement specialist and advisory firm is just to run your retirement cash flow. We can start as advisors to figure out what are ways that you can improve the way that you're saving while you're working, plan for different strategies that you might implement when you leave the company and after retirement, especially the year that you transition. That's where there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of mistakes are made. It could cost you tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, whether it's the timing of your retirement, the timing of your pension rollover, the choice that you make on your pension, whether to take as a lump sum or annuity. And like we talked about today, the health insurance options that are going to allow you to have good insurance, but not eat up too much of your retirement plan if possible. Take us up on this free service, whether or not you're a client. Spend some time with me or one of my colleagues. We're very confident that you will get value from that conversation. Even if you don't become a client, we're happy to spend some time with you because we know that you're likely to help us grow our business by recommending some of your coworkers talk to us. The way to reach out to us, you can email us at info@theretirementgroup.com. You can call us at 800-900-5867. This QR code here on the left will get you onto mine or one of my colleagues' calendars. And the QR code on the right is a link to our LinkedIn page where we publish a lot of these webinars that we do, many specific to the ExxonMobil benefits and some generic to investment planning, estate planning, tax planning, Social Security, and other important retirement planning concepts. So with that, we'll wrap it up for today. Thank you so much for spending some time with us. Everybody have a good, safe rest of your week here, and we hope to talk to you very soon.